Hello, beautiful minds. Have you ever noticed how the moment your life starts changing, people stop calling it hard work and start calling it luck? The stronger you become, the more unbelievable your story sounds to those who never witnessed your silent battles. They search for secret shortcuts because accepting your discipline would force them to question their own excuses. Your victories disturb comfortable minds. They whisper that you must have made a deal because they cannot imagine someone surviving pain, betrayal, and failure without breaking. But today, you'll discover why your greatest advantage was never luck. It was the mindset you built when nobody believed you could ever rise. Darkness doesn't always announce itself with fear. Sometimes it arrives disguised as a smile from someone secretly hoping you fail. They watch you from a distance, counting your mistakes, waiting for proof that you're ordinary. But every time you escape another problem, every time another opportunity appears, every time you recover from what should have destroyed you, something inside them begins to crack. Their minds refuse to accept what they're seeing. Instead of asking what you've sacrificed, they convince themselves that your life must be driven by impossible luck. That's easier than admitting they underestimated someone who refused to surrender. People love the final chapter of a story they never had the courage to read from the beginning. They admire confidence without respecting the years of insecurity that created it. They celebrate success without acknowledging the endless nights spent questioning whether the struggle would ever end. They applaud the victory, but ignore every invisible scar earned on the journey. To them, your life looks effortless because they only arrived after the hardest battles had already been fought. What they call luck was actually discipline repeated so many times that it became invisible. Every morning you chose to keep moving while others waited for perfect conditions. Every disappointment became another lesson instead of another excuse. Every rejection forced you to sharpen your mind instead of weakening your spirit. Those moments never appeared on social media. Nobody applauded them. Nobody celebrated them. Yet those quiet decisions slowly transformed your future. Most people misunderstand success because they're addicted to visible results. They don't notice invisible preparation. They see the tree but never imagine the years the roots spent growing underground. That's why extraordinary people often appear lucky. Their preparation remains hidden until opportunity suddenly exposes it. Then everyone acts surprised, forgetting that opportunity only rewards those already prepared to recognize it. Think about the people who criticize your achievements. Many of them weren't standing beside you when everything was falling apart. They weren't there when self-doubt whispered that giving up would be easier. They weren't there when failure embarrassed you, when loneliness tested your patience, or when uncertainty became your daily companion. Yet somehow they believe they understand your success better than you understand your own journey. Human psychology prefers simple explanations. It's easier to believe someone was blessed by fortune than to admit they built themselves through relentless effort. Accepting your discipline would force others to confront their own wasted potential. It would require them to ask uncomfortable questions about the opportunities they ignored, the habits they refused to change, and the dreams they abandoned too early. Blaming luck protects the ego from responsibility. There is another reason people call you lucky. Consistency terrifies those who rely on motivation. Motivation disappears when life becomes uncomfortable. Discipline survives discomfort. While others waited for inspiration, you kept taking another step. While they searched for shortcuts, you mastered patience. While they chased temporary excitement, you focused on long-term growth. Years later, they see only the outcome and mistake endurance for fortune. Real transformation rarely feels magical while it's happening. It feels repetitive, frustrating, exhausting, and often invisible. Progress doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives through thousands of choices nobody notices. One healthy decision, one difficult conversation, one extra hour of learning, one refusal to quit. Alone, these actions seem insignificant. Together, they rewrite an entire life. People often confuse resilience with destiny. They assume certain individuals were simply born different. But resilience isn't inherited. It's built every single time someone refuses to let pain become their identity. Every setback gives two options: become a victim of the story or become the author of the next chapter. Those who repeatedly choose responsibility eventually appear unstoppable to everyone watching from the outside. The irony is that the people who call you lucky usually had access to many of the same opportunities. The difference wasn't opportunity itself. The difference was preparation. While they complained about circumstances, you learned to adapt. While they focused on fairness, you focused on progress. While they feared failure, you accepted failure as tuition for wisdom. Over time, that difference became impossible to ignore. Your greatest victories were never gifts handed to you by chance. They were earned through countless moments when nobody believed in you, when recognition was absent, and when quitting seemed reasonable. Every sacrifice became another invisible brick in the foundation people now mistake for luck. Every difficult season strengthened your mind in ways comfort never could. Every painful lesson sharpened your judgment until your decisions started producing results that looked unbelievable to everyone who never witnessed the price you quietly paid. The most dangerous illusion lives inside the minds of people who underestimate silence. They mistake a calm face for an empty mind. They believe that because you don't announce every move, you don't have a plan. They laugh when you stay quiet during chaos, never realizing that predators don't waste energy chasing every shadow. By the time they understand what you've been building, the opportunity has already chosen you. And suddenly they call it unbelievable luck. Life rarely rewards the loudest person in the room. It rewards the one who notices what everyone else ignores. While people are distracted by drama, comparison, and endless noise, you begin seeing patterns. You recognize that every decision creates a chain reaction. One small choice made today quietly shapes tomorrow's possibilities. Those who appear lucky are often the ones who simply made better decisions long before anyone was paying attention. People believe opportunities appear out of nowhere, but that's not how reality works. Opportunities are attracted to preparation, awareness, and emotional control. Every calm decision you make protects your future from problems your emotions could have created. When others react impulsively, they destroy doors that might have opened later. When you pause, observe, and think, you preserve possibilities that eventually become breakthroughs. The human mind is wired to chase immediate comfort. It wants quick rewards, instant validation, and emotional satisfaction. That's why so many people make choices based on temporary feelings instead of lasting outcomes. They spend money to impress strangers, argue to protect their pride, and quit because progress feels slow. Then they wonder why success seems to avoid them while it keeps finding someone else. Your calmness changes everything because it gives you access to something most people never develop: clarity. A clear mind sees solutions where emotional minds only see obstacles. While panic spreads through the crowd, clarity quietly discovers another path. This isn't magic. It isn't luck. It's the result of refusing to let emotions become the driver of your decisions. Think about how many lives have been changed by one patient decision. Someone chose not to answer an insulting message and avoided a conflict that could have ruined relationships. Someone waited one more month before giving up and discovered an opportunity that changed everything. Someone invested time learning instead of complaining and became the person everyone suddenly admired years later. To outsiders, these moments look accidental. In reality, they were built on self-control. The strongest people aren't those who never feel fear. They're the ones who refuse to let fear make choices on their behalf. Fear whispers that every risk is dangerous. Impatience whispers that every delay is failure. Pride whispers that admitting mistakes is weakness. But wisdom listens to none of these voices. Wisdom asks one simple question: what decision will still make sense 5 years from now? That single question separates emotional reactions from intelligent action. People often sabotage themselves because they confuse movement with progress. They stay busy but never intentional. They chase every trend, every opinion, every shortcut, believing constant activity guarantees results. Meanwhile, the person making fewer but smarter decisions slowly moves ahead. Quiet consistency defeats chaotic ambition almost every time. Notice how successful people often appear calm during uncertainty. It's not because they know every answer. It's because they've trained themselves not to panic when answers aren't immediately available. They understand that uncertainty is temporary, but reckless decisions can create permanent consequences. Remaining composed allows them to gather information while others are already creating unnecessary problems. Your so-called luck begins the moment you stop allowing outside opinions to control your inner direction. Every minute spent seeking approval is a minute stolen from meaningful progress. The people who criticize your choices rarely carry responsibility for your future. They offer opinions without carrying consequences. Once you realize this, your decisions become stronger because they're guided by purpose instead of applause. There is a hidden power in observation. While everyone else is speaking, you're collecting information. While they're trying to prove themselves, you're understanding the situation. This quiet awareness gives you an advantage that cannot be purchased. You begin recognizing opportunities before they become obvious. By the time the crowd notices, you've already acted. Many call this timing. Others call it fortune. But timing is often the reward for paying attention when everyone else is distracted. Luck begins looking extraordinary when preparation meets the exact moment others failed to recognize. Every calm decision you've made has been quietly building a bridge toward moments that seem impossible from the outside. Eventually, people will point at your achievements and say everything always works in your favor. They'll ignore the moments you chose patience over panic, discipline over distraction, and long-term vision over temporary emotion. They'll never calculate how many disasters you avoided simply because you refused to let impulsive thinking control your future. They will see the extraordinary outcome, but only you will remember that it was created one calm decision at a time until your life started producing results so remarkable that everyone else mistook wisdom for impossible luck. The darkest prisons are never built with iron bars. They are built inside the mind, where people convince themselves that tomorrow is a better day to begin. Every delayed decision becomes another invisible chain. Every excuse grows stronger until it starts sounding like truth. Most people never lose because they lack talent. They lose because they surrender to comfort one small choice at a time. Then they watch someone who refused to stop and call it unbelievable luck, unable to recognize that consistency has always been the silent force behind every extraordinary life. The world celebrates dramatic victories, but rarely notices the quiet routines that create them. Everyone wants to witness the breakthrough, but almost nobody wants to live through the repetition that makes the breakthrough possible. Repeating the same disciplined actions every day feels boring. It feels invisible. It feels like nothing is changing. Yet beneath that ordinary routine, your identity is being rebuilt. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you teach your mind that commitment is stronger than emotion. Most people are addicted to motivation. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect sign before taking action. But motivation is unreliable. It appears when life is easy and disappears the moment challenges arrive. Consistency, however, doesn't ask how you feel. It asks only one question: will you keep your promise to yourself today? That question separates dreamers from achievers. Imagine two people starting at exactly the same point. One works only when inspired. The other works whether inspired or not. At first, their progress looks similar. Weeks pass, then months. The difference remains almost invisible. But time is patient. It quietly multiplies every habit until small choices become enormous outcomes. Years later, one person wonders why life seems unfair while the other appears incredibly fortunate. The truth is that fortune was never involved. Time simply rewarded consistency. Human psychology naturally seeks comfort because comfort requires little effort. The brain wants to conserve energy. It encourages shortcuts, distractions, and temporary pleasures because they provide immediate satisfaction. That's why scrolling endlessly feels easier than learning a new skill. Complaining feels easier than improving. Quitting feels easier than enduring uncertainty. Every easy decision offers comfort today, but often creates regret tomorrow. Consistency works differently. It demands discomfort before reward. It asks you to trust results you cannot yet see. That's why so few people embrace it. Planting seeds never looks impressive. Watering them every day feels repetitive. But one day, while others wonder where the tree came from, you remember every invisible moment that made it possible. The people who quit usually have convincing reasons. They blame circumstances, timing, bad luck, difficult people, or impossible conditions. These explanations sound logical because they contain pieces of truth. Life is unfair sometimes. Obstacles are real. Failure hurts. But consistency doesn't depend on perfect conditions. It adapts. It survives. It keeps moving despite uncertainty. There will always be days when progress feels impossible to measure. You'll question whether your effort matters. You'll compare yourself with people who seem to be moving faster. You'll wonder if you're wasting your time. Those moments become psychological crossroads. Many people abandon the journey right there, not realizing they were standing just before meaningful growth. Consistent people experience the same doubts. The difference is that they continue anyway. Every small promise you keep to yourself strengthens your confidence. Confidence doesn't magically appear because someone compliments you. It grows because your actions repeatedly prove that you can trust yourself. Each completed task becomes evidence. Each disciplined decision becomes another vote for the person you're becoming. Eventually, your confidence stops depending on outside validation because it has been built through repeated action. This is why consistency appears almost supernatural from the outside. People see only the final achievement. They don't count the mornings you wanted to quit but kept going. They don't remember the nights you worked while everyone else was entertained. They never witnessed the moments when nobody believed in you except yourself. Those unseen hours quietly accumulated until success looked sudden. Life rarely changes because of one giant decision. It changes because thousands of ordinary decisions begin pointing in the same direction. Reading one chapter instead of watching another meaningless distraction. Saving instead of wasting. Learning instead of complaining. Practicing instead of making excuses. These moments seem insignificant alone, but together they become impossible to ignore. The greatest advantage consistency gives you is momentum. Once momentum begins, progress creates more progress. Skills improve, confidence grows, opportunities multiply. People start noticing your results. Ironically, this is often when they accuse you of being lucky. They weren't present for the years when nothing seemed to happen. They arrived only after your invisible effort became visible success. To them, your rise looks effortless. To you, every achievement carries the memory of countless ordinary days when nobody applauded, nobody believed, and nobody understood that each small step was quietly creating a future extraordinary enough to be mistaken for impossible luck. The moment your life begins to rise, something unsettling happens inside the people who secretly measured their worth against yours. Their smiles remain the same, but their thoughts become darker. They start searching for hidden explanations because accepting your success would destroy the comforting story they've been telling themselves. It is easier to believe you cheated the system, manipulated fate, or made some mysterious deal than to admit that your discipline quietly outgrew their excuses. Success has an unusual effect on human psychology. It doesn't just reveal who supports you, it exposes who was comfortable only when you stayed beneath them. Some people celebrate your dreams until those dreams become reality. The moment your achievements become undeniable, admiration slowly transforms into suspicion. Suddenly, every compliment is followed by a question. Every victory is followed by a rumor. Every opportunity is explained away as luck instead of preparation. People rarely become jealous because someone has more. They become jealous when someone they underestimated begins living the life they secretly wanted. That's when the mind starts protecting the ego. Instead of saying, maybe I should improve myself, it whispers, they must have had an unfair advantage. This lie feels safer because it removes responsibility. If your success came from luck, then they never have to confront the painful truth that they abandoned the same opportunities you embraced. Notice how quickly people invent stories when they cannot understand someone's progress. One person says you knew the right people. Another claims everything happened at the perfect time. Someone else insists you were simply born fortunate. Each explanation becomes another shield protecting them from accountability. None of these stories mention your sacrifices because acknowledging those sacrifices would force them to question their own choices. The human ego fears comparison more than failure itself. Failure can be blamed on circumstances, but comparison exposes potential. Watching someone with a similar beginning create an extraordinary future becomes deeply uncomfortable. It silently asks, if they could transform their life, why didn't I? Rather than answering that question honestly, many people create comforting myths. Those myths become excuses disguised as opinions. This is why your success often attracts criticism from people who have never attempted anything difficult. They judge the destination because they never walked the road. They analyze your results without calculating the years of invisible work behind them. To them, your confidence looks arrogant because they never witnessed the insecurity you defeated. Your peace looks effortless because they never experienced the storms that taught you emotional control. Ironically, the more quietly you succeed, the more mysterious you become. Silence makes people curious. Curiosity often turns into assumption. When you stop explaining every decision, people begin creating explanations of their own. They fill the empty spaces with imagination, gossip, and speculation. Instead of asking how you built your strength, they invent stories that make your achievements seem impossible to replicate. There is a hidden lesson inside this behavior. People reveal more about themselves than they reveal about you. The rumors they spread often expose their own fears. The criticism they repeat usually reflects the limits they have accepted for their own lives. Someone convinced that hard work never pays off will naturally dismiss every successful person as lucky. Someone afraid of discipline will always search for shortcuts in another person's story because they cannot imagine consistency producing extraordinary results. Do not waste your energy trying to convince everyone that your success is genuine. Those committed to misunderstanding you are not searching for truth, they're searching for comfort. Facts cannot change a mind that has already chosen an excuse over reality. Your responsibility isn't to defend your journey. Your responsibility is to continue walking it. Remember that every remarkable achievement disrupts someone's expectations. Every level you reach forces certain people to rewrite the version of you they created years ago. Some will happily celebrate your growth. Others will resist it because your transformation reminds them that change was possible all along. They preferred the familiar version of you because it protected their own sense of superiority. The strange part is that many of the people doubting you today would gladly accept the same success if it belonged to them. They don't reject extraordinary outcomes. They reject the idea that you earned them. Their minds cannot reconcile the image they once held of you with the reality standing before them. Instead of updating their beliefs, they attack the evidence, so let them wonder. Let them debate your methods, question your timing, and create endless theories about why everything seems to work in your favor. They were never present for the lonely mornings, the painful lessons, the disciplined routines, or the countless moments when failure seemed stronger than hope. They only arrived after the harvest appeared, never realizing that what they call impossible luck was nothing more than years of invisible preparation, finally becoming too obvious for the world to ignore. Every painful memory leaves behind a question that echoes in the darkest corners of the mind. Will this destroy me, or will it create someone the world has never seen before? Most people never answer that question consciously. They allow disappointment to define them. They let betrayal become their identity. They carry failure like a permanent label instead of treating it like a temporary lesson. Then they watch someone who survived the same darkness rise higher than ever, convincing themselves it must have been impossible luck. Life has an unusual way of testing people. It rarely attacks your strengths first. It targets your confidence, your patience, and your belief in yourself. The greatest battles are not fought against the world, but against the voice inside your own head that whispers, maybe this is the end. That voice appears after rejection. It grows louder after failure. It becomes convincing after repeated disappointment. The people who lose are not always the weakest. Often, they are simply the ones who started believing that voice. The strongest minds understand something others overlook. Every setback carries hidden information. Failure is not merely pain, it is feedback. It reveals weaknesses that success would have allowed you to ignore. It exposes habits that need to change. It forces you to develop skills that comfort would never demand. Every obstacle quietly asks one question. Will you complain about this moment, or will you learn from it? Most people choose complaint because it provides instant emotional relief. Blaming circumstances feels easier than accepting responsibility. Complaining gathers sympathy. Growth demands sacrifice. That's why transformation remains rare. The human mind naturally avoids discomfort, even when discomfort is the price of a better future. Imagine two people experiencing the exact same failure. One concludes, I'm not good enough. The other asks, what must I become so this never happens again? Their circumstances are identical, yet their futures immediately begin separating. One allows pain to become a prison. The other turns pain into a teacher. Months later, one remains trapped in resentment while the other possesses wisdom impossible to gain any other way. Every challenge leaves behind a gift, but that gift is hidden beneath frustration. Most people stop digging before they reach it. They focus only on what was lost instead of recognizing what can still be built. The setback itself is rarely permanent. The decision to stop trying is. The strange truth is that your greatest opportunities often arrive wearing the disguise of your biggest disappointments. Losing one job may force you toward a career that fits your purpose better. A painful betrayal may teach you to recognize people who truly deserve your trust. Financial hardship may develop discipline that later protects your success. None of these lessons feel valuable while you're experiencing them. Only time reveals their importance. This is why resilient people often appear unbelievably fortunate. They have trained themselves to search for opportunity inside difficulty, while others ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this preparing me for?" That single shift in perspective changes everything. The event remains the same, but its meaning becomes completely different. Your mind is constantly collecting evidence about who you believe you are. Every setback either confirms weakness or builds resilience depending on the story you attach to it. If you repeatedly tell yourself life is unfair, your actions begin reflecting helplessness. If you repeatedly remind yourself that every challenge carries a lesson, your behavior slowly becomes stronger. Identity is built through repeated interpretation, not repeated comfort. People admire resilience because it cannot be purchased or borrowed. It is earned through surviving moments that nearly broke you. Every difficult season becomes another layer of emotional strength. Every obstacle sharpens your judgment. Every painful experience increases your ability to remain calm when others panic. These qualities eventually produce results that seem extraordinary from the outside. Ironically, the setbacks you once wished had never happened often become the very reason you're capable of handling opportunities others cannot manage. Without those failures, your character would remain incomplete. Without those disappointments, your wisdom would remain shallow. Without those difficult seasons, your confidence would depend on circumstances instead of conviction. There comes a point when you stop fearing setbacks because you understand their true purpose. You realize that every obstacle contains raw material for your next level. Every closed door forces you to discover another entrance. Every rejection strengthens your ability to recognize where your value truly belongs. Every painful ending quietly prepares a stronger beginning. Eventually, people will look at your life and wonder why everything seems to work in your favor. They will assume fortune follows you everywhere you go. What they will never fully understand is that your greatest victories were forged from the very failures they would have allowed to defeat them. Because every setback became another piece of fuel that strengthened your mind, sharpened your vision, and transformed impossible struggles into the unstoppable momentum they now mistake for unbelievable luck. The most terrifying realization for those who doubt you is not that you keep winning. It is that they can no longer explain why. Every prediction they made about your downfall has failed. Every limitation they placed on your future has been shattered. They stare at your progress as if searching for a hidden secret, convinced there must be something invisible working in your favor. Their minds cannot accept that the greatest force behind your success was never luck. It was the person you quietly became while no one was paying attention. Luck has always been one of the world's favorite excuses. It comforts those who refuse to change because it suggests success belongs only to the chosen few. If everything depends on luck, then effort loses its meaning. Discipline becomes unnecessary. Responsibility disappears. That illusion protects people from confronting the uncomfortable reality that their habits, decisions, and mindset have been shaping their future every single day. The truth is that opportunities rarely transform ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Instead, extraordinary people recognize opportunities that ordinary minds overlook. Two people can stand in front of the same open door. One walks through it with confidence because years of preparation have trained them to act. The other hesitates, overthinks, and eventually watches the moment disappear. Later, the second person calls the first one lucky, forgetting that preparation gave one person courage while fear stole it from the other. Your identity determines what you notice. Someone who constantly expects failure will unconsciously search for evidence supporting that belief. Every obstacle confirms their doubts. Every rejection convinces them to stop trying. Meanwhile, someone who believes growth is possible interprets the same challenges differently. They see lessons instead of endings. They discover possibilities hidden inside problems. Their mindset changes not only their emotions, but also the choices they make every single day. This is why becoming matters more than achieving. Achievements can disappear. Money can be lost. Positions can change. Recognition can fade. But the person you become cannot be taken away easily. The discipline you've built, the emotional control you've developed, the wisdom earned through struggle, and the resilience forged through hardship remain with you long after circumstances change. These qualities continue creating opportunities because they influence every decision you make. Many people spend their lives chasing external rewards while ignoring internal transformation. They want success without becoming successful thinkers. They want confidence without facing fear. They want respect without building character. They chase results while neglecting the identity capable of producing those results consistently. That's why temporary victories often disappear. Without internal growth, external success becomes difficult to maintain. Every habit you repeat is quietly shaping your future identity. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens self-respect. Every difficult conversation you face increases courage. Every hour spent learning expands your possibilities. None of these actions feel extraordinary individually, yet together they create someone capable of handling opportunities that once seemed impossible. People often ask why certain individuals always seem to be in the right place at the right time. They rarely ask the more important question: what kind of person were they before that moment arrived? Right place, right time. Wrong mindset still produces failure. Right place, right time. Prepared mindset creates extraordinary results. The opportunity is only half the equation. The person meeting that opportunity completes it. There is a psychological law many overlook. Your expectations influence your behavior, and your behavior influences your results. If you genuinely believe growth is possible, you'll continue taking actions that create improvement. If you believe nothing will change, you'll unconsciously avoid the very behaviors capable of changing your future. In this way, beliefs quietly become reality through repeated action. Your so-called insane luck is actually the natural consequence of years spent becoming someone who refuses to surrender. You learned patience when others demanded instant gratification. You chose discipline when distractions looked more attractive. You remained calm when panic surrounded you. You accepted responsibility when excuses felt easier. Each decision changed your identity a little more until opportunities that once ignored you suddenly began finding you. The remarkable part is that the transformation happened long before the world noticed. While people were distracted by appearances, you were rebuilding your mindset. While they searched for shortcuts, you developed habits. While they chased comfort, you embraced discomfort because you understood it was shaping someone stronger than your current circumstances. Eventually, the results became impossible to hide. Doors opened more frequently. Relationships improved. Confidence grew. Challenges that once intimidated you became manageable. People watching from the outside couldn't see the years of invisible transformation, so they reached for the simplest explanation they could find. They called it unbelievable luck. But only you know the truth, that every opportunity now entering your life is simply recognizing the person you became through relentless discipline, unwavering resilience, and a mindset so refined that what others mistake for impossible fortune is nothing more than the inevitable reward of becoming someone opportunities can no longer afford to ignore.